What strange times. I never in a million years thought we'd be in this situation. Jesus was crucified, rose from the dead, hung out for 40 days, and then ascended into heaven. And now we are going around, spreading his message, sharing his stories. People have started calling us Christians. That's a Greek word. It's not even Hebrew. How strange. Or maybe it should go something like this. These are strange times. In a million years, I never would have expected that we'd be in this situation. In the past 3 weeks, I've only seen my parents through a window pane or a computer screen. I've never had more of a desire to turn off Netflix and go into the office than I do now. I haven't received communion in a month. And instead of watching baseball and the battle for the green jacket at Augusta, I'm watching sporting events that took place in 1987. Very strange. As I'm sure you have, I've had numerous conversations, emails, text messages, those ever-present Zoom calls, where people say things or use phrases like, I never expected, how bizarre, I don't even know what normal is anymore, I could have never imagined, I never would have thought. Well, it seems apparent that we didn't expect to be living in the reality in which we are currently living. And I don't think that the early followers of Christ did either. Perhaps, though, one of the things that we can learn from them is they didn't seem to hold too tightly to expectations, but they shifted with the unexpected reality that was in front of them. Was it their openness and adaptability that made them successful? They certainly were not flawless. One of the gifts of the New Testament is that it gives us the stories of the mistakes and missteps of the early followers of Jesus. They're not presented to us in a Pinterest perfect way. They betray Jesus. They argue about who is better. They fall asleep when Jesus needs them. And they're certainly slow to catch on to the master plan of things. But they kept going. They were able to shift and adapt. They were imperfectly persistent and ultimately successful. So successful that there are over 2 billion Christians in the world right now. For a moment, let's think about their expectations or lack of. They didn't expect that Jesus would be crucified. They didn't expect him to rise. Did anyone see that coming? Their expectations didn't paralyze them. They adjusted and pivoted through interacting with unclean people, through threats, through martyrdom. And when those 11 disciples finally left the upper room, they healed people. They spoke about the salvation that Jesus offered and baptized thousands. They even let that guy Saul, who hated Jesus and his disciples, go out and share the message of Jesus with the Gentiles. Talk about a major change in plans. In the liturgical church or church year, the season of Easter is 50 days. As we live in this Easter coronavirus season, I think that the first followers of Jesus have something to teach us. We cannot be so tied to an idea or methodology that we are unchangeable or angered if we cannot proceed as expected. If we don't open ourselves up to adapting, we aren't allowing ourselves to be co-creators with God. The mentality of we always do this or I always do that prevents us from new possibilities that God is putting in front of us or that God is inviting us to participate in. In these unexpected moments, we receive gifts. Some are big and hard to miss, like the salvation and grace that come out of the resurrection, and others small, but just as important, like seeing a drive-by birthday party or having a conversation with a friend in a driveway or on a front porch. We find in these moments the Holy Spirit breathing and moving new life into us and creation, whether we expect it or not. Some things to think about this week. What were you expecting for this spring and Easter season? What has been hard for you to adapt and change while you've been sheltering in place? And what are some unexpected joys and blessings that you received over the past month? Stay safe and be well.